Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. A quick reminder of our top stories now. The Supreme Court dismisses appeal against the election of the governors of Oyo, Yobe and Delta states on the ground of lack of merit and abuse of court process. A former co-accused to testify against former House of Representative member Farouk Lawal in the $620,000 oil subsidy scam as trial is stalled. Chief Justice of Nigeria warns that Nigeria's growth and stability may be endangered unless speedy reforms are carried out to tackle financial crimes. World rallies to establish the cause of the devastating effects of Zika virus on babies in South America. Do remember that all our top stories can be found on our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. When you're done downloading, we do urge you to please interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, our iOS and Windows platforms. If you've got pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, simply tap on the Channels TV app on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. And now to the pictures you sent to our Eyewitness portal. And first is this one from Gaydam in Gombe State, showing people fetching water from a river. Our Eyewitness reporter says that for many years now, this contaminated water is what Gaydam people have been drinking. Is calling on the government to help make pipe-borne water available to the people of the area. Well, next is this one from Oka in Anambra State, showing Emergency Management Agency officials packing the debris of an accident. Our Eyewitness reporter is urging drivers to be more careful on our roads. And finally is this one from Lokoja in Kogi State, showing a tanker that fell on the road. Our Eyewitness reporter wants tanker drivers to be more cautious of other road users. We want to thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. Moving over to other stories now. The Chief Justice Mahmoud Mohammed has called for legal and institutional reforms to combat financial and cyber crimes in the country. He made a call at the annual conference on financial fraud, cyber and cross-border crimes in Abuja. The Chief Justice notes any impediment to reforming the judicial system could endanger Nigeria's political future while hindering economic growth and stability.
Representatives from both the financial institutions and the Nigeria judicial system are in this hall to find a common solution to the problem of financial and cyber crime. Addressing the audience, the Chief Justice of Nigeria advocates legal and institutional reforms.
There is an urgent need for us to consider and prioritize the reform of our laws. This need is heightened by the imperative for the conformance with the primary concern of our law and order, national security and public interest. It is time to leave the rhetoric behind and take viable steps toward this fight against transnational crimes.
However, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice says more anti-corruption bills will soon be forwarded to the National Assembly.
In the past 1 month, the Office of the Attorney General has been working with a team of experts and has transmitted 4 critical anti-corruption related bills. The Proceeds of Crime Bill, the Money Laundering Prohibition and Prevention Bill, and the Mutual Legal Assistance and Criminal Matters Bill. In the coming days, the team will submit more bills to the President for transmission.
On his part, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria urges the National Assembly to pass into law the Proceeds of Corruption Bill, which he says will speed up the reparation of stolen assets to Nigeria.
The Proceeds of Crime Act legislation will do much to support the process for the return of assets seized outside Nigeria. The UK is committed to the return of such assets which are held in the UK, and officials have recently visited Nigeria to discuss this process. I am aware of criticism, unjust though it may be, that the UK has not returned Nigerian stolen assets quickly enough. As you will appreciate, there are legitimate legal hurdles which need to be overcome, but we are looking actively at how we can accelerate that legal process.
Although there are several anti-corruption laws in Nigeria, some legal experts believe that there's in fact a need to reform those laws to reflect modern realities.
President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to Ogun State spills over to day 2 as he commissions projects in Abeokuta, the state capital. This is in commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the Gateway State since its creation. At the commissioning and launch of the three-hill estate, President Buhari commended the programs of the Ogun State government, describing it as people-oriented.
The president sets out with the commissioning of projects initiated by the Ogun State government. Markets, schools, roads, bridges, and housing projects all made it through the 40 lined-up projects for 40 years of the state's existence. The president makes a grand entry into the three-hill estate, so far the biggest housing project on Ogun soil. In his speech, he commends the Ogun State governor for embarking on reasonable and people-oriented programs.
Whatever I think I knew about Abeokuta, I have lost it. Your programs are certainly people-orientated. We have commissioned roads, schools, and legal complex headquarters. These institutions and the quality of the jobs are going to be very enduring. And I'm very pleased I have been identified with social, infrastructural institutions that will endure.
Agricultural production that will lead us to industrialization is ongoing. Affordable housing and urban renewal is ongoing. And rural and infrastructural development that will lead to massive employment generation is on course. These are the programs we put together and tagged the mission to rebuild our dear state. With this, we are convinced that our state is already set on a stage that is irreversible, that will develop economically, will be very prosperous, socially, and it will be an inclusive, really, not just for one, not just for the rich, for everybody, strong, united people and a state.
Ogun State in southwestern Nigeria was created in 1976 from the western state. It borders Lagos State to the south, Oyo and Osun states to the north, Ondo State to the east, and the Republic of Benin to the west. Many say the grand celebration of the 40th anniversary of the creation of the state is a clear statement of development. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's now cross over to our Abuja studio where Linda Hibe is standing by to take us through the major stories from Abuja. Over to you now, Linda.
Hello, Gimba, and welcome to the nation's capital. The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, has set a target of 4.9 trillion naira as revenue that would be generated in 2016. Mr. Fowler, who projects 90% budget implementation success, says the FIRS staff would achieve at least 70% delivery per quarter or forfeit their performance bonuses in 2016. He notes the FIRS target of adding 500,000 taxable corporate accounts to its grid will be achieved before the end of March 2016.
This corporate strategy and medium-term plan retreat by the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) is to discuss strategies, set out action plans, and agree on key performance indicators towards the successful implementation of the 2016 budget. The executive chairman of the revenue agency spared no time announcing the 2016 target, which he says will be achieved by ensuring all taxable companies and adults will be incorporated into paying taxes starting this month.
Internally, we believe that we should be able to generate at least 4.9 trillion And we as staff have decided to commit ourselves to this target. We have decided that if we do not achieve 70% in any quarter, none of us will receive any performance bonus.
These key players say Nigeria is yet to take full advantage of the opportunities of taxes for revenue generation. But now, internally generated revenue is a solution to Nigeria's financial needs.
Non-oil revenue, comprising company income tax, value-added tax, custom and excise duties, and other federation account levies, which are expected to contribute 1.4 trillion. Up to 1.5 trillion will be generated from independent revenue sources.
Government's 2016 budget will work or not depending on what the Federal Revenue Service is able to achieve.
The implementation of the 2016 6.08 trillion naira budget, still pending before the National Assembly, has raised doubts from many quarters. But there are positive signs coming from the government's tax collector. If the FIRS projections are anything to go by, then this year's budget implementation might set a new standard. Omelogo, Nadi Channels Television News.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is assuring Nigerians that government is refurbishing power plants in the country to improve electricity supply. Speaking at a budget defense session in the Senate, Mr. Fashola said the ministry, together with the major players in the electricity sector, have set a target of adding an additional 2,000 megawatts of electricity by the end of the year. He also said the ministry has begun holding monthly meetings with the distribution and generation companies to look for solutions to the problems in the power sector. The Nigerian Prison Service has appealed for extra budgetary allocation to help the organization take care of the over 65,000 prisoners in its custody. The Controller General of Prisons made the appeal when he appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Interior to defend the Nigerian Prison Service budget. Meanwhile, the Minister of Environment, Zainab Ahmed, was also in the House of Representatives to meet with the House Committee on Climate Change. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
Defense. The House of Representatives has suspended plenary for 2 weeks to allow committees concentrate on the 2016 budget. The Minister of Environment appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Climate Change for an interactive session. The minister says the country is predisposed to severe negative impacts due to lack of proper coordination to mainstream climate change concerns into national development planning process.
The first, of course, is budget and planning. Without them leading in what we want to do within the national context, it's going to be difficult for us to attain the kind of domestic investments that we need, that we can leverage external resources.
Some agencies under the Ministry of Interior were before the House Committee on Interior to defend their budget. For the prison service, they appeal for more funds.
September, October, November, December rations are still unpaid. By simple calculation, you will find out that we requested for a total sum of 10-point-something billion naira for food ration just for 1 year, which was 2015, where we had a shortfall of this 5-point-something billion. And for this 2016, we needed 10.6-something. You can calculate it. On the average of 65,000 inmates. We know it's a difficult thing to do, but please, save us in terms of causing problems. Our inmates, you see, unimaginable when inmates are not fed. We are in a community, a criminal community, and a community that you cannot predict their reaction.
For the Nigerian Immigration Service, it was a chance to speak on their activities.
Of recent, you see how Gabon were deporting non-indigenous and then putting them somewhere in Calabar. We don't have what we call boats that we could use to at least follow or chase any ship.
Meanwhile, the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives investigating railway contracts from 2010 to 2014 also had a hearing.
It could have come to me as a report on progress if there is such a contract. But, Mr. Chairman, with due respect, the MD is here. The institutional memory, the engineers are here. The director is here. As a political head, you should be asking me about policy, about our party policy on railways, not about the technical operation of the corporation.
The Minister of Transport was also at the hearing. The investigative hearing is expected to submit its findings to the House in plenary for consideration. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
That's all from Abuja. Back to you, Gimba.
Brilliant. Linda Kiwe from our Abuja studio. And when the news at 10 returns, the National Bureau of Statistics says that Nigeria's capital inflow in 2015 crashed by 53.53%. Join us again.